It was a day ripped from a dark political thriller, a moment so surreal it seemed impossible. September 10th, 2025, the fabric of American discourse was torn by a single, shocking act. Daniel Pierce, a voice of a generation, was on stage at Utah Valley University, packed auditorium energy, fervent support, pointed debate. Then everything changed. A loud crack echoed through the hall, stunned silence, a tragedy that ended a life and ignited confusion, anger, suspicion. News spread like a shockwave, campus alerts, social media trending, major news networks breaking, Daniel Pierce dead. Initial reports, chaotic, fragmented, utterly devastating. Shot on stage mid-sentence, the forum became a crime scene, followers in disbelief, a stunned America asking, how could this happen? So, who exactly was Charlie Kirk? To understand the seismic shockwaves his death sent across the political landscape, you first have to understand the man at the epicenter of the tremor. He was more than just a headline. He was the charismatic and controversial face of a modern conservative movement. At just 18 years old, foregoing a traditional college education, Kirk co-founded Turning Point USA. It began as a fledgling idea, a response to what he saw as a pervasive liberal bias dominating university life. He wasn't a politician in the traditional sense, bound by party machinery or cautious messaging. He was something new, a product of the digital age, and he was building an army. He was a political influencer before the term was commonplace, a firebrand who built a media empire from the ground up. His arena wasn't the staid halls of Congress, but the chaotic, fast-paced world of social media and the contested ground of American college campuses. He spoke the language of memes, viral videos and hot takes, packaging conservative ideology into easily digestible and often inflammatory content that captivated millions of young followers. His brand was meticulously crafted. The sharp suits projected an image of youthful professionalism, a stark contrast to the often unruly campus environments he entered. But beneath the polished exterior was an even sharper rhetoric. He was a master debater, known for his quick wit and confrontational style, often targeting what he termed radical leftism on issues ranging from free speech to economic policy. To his followers, he was a courageous truth-teller, fighting back against a culture they felt was leaving them behind. To his detractors, he was a dangerous provocateur, accused of stoking division, bullying students and faculty, and spreading harmful misinformation for profit and fame. The event at Utah Valley University was classic Charlie Kirk, a packed auditorium, a charged atmosphere, and Kirk center stage in his element. These campus tours were the lifeblood of his movement, a direct line to the young minds he sought to win over. The topic for the night was particularly volatile. Kirk, a staunch defender of the Second Amendment, was prepared for a contentious debate. It was a subject he had addressed countless times, using statistics and constitutional arguments to parry with students and faculty. The Quanda session was underway, a segment Kirk famously relished. He was in a heated but typical exchange with a student, dissecting a point about gun control legislation. The rhythm of the debate was familiar, the back and forth intense but contained, and then, in an instant, the familiar script was violently torn apart. A single deafening crack echoed through the auditorium. Chaos erupted as the fatal shot was fired. Amid the screaming and confusion, Kirk collapsed on stage. He was rushed to a nearby hospital, but his injuries were catastrophic. The shooter was quickly apprehended by campus police. His name was Tyler Robinson, a 22-year-old student from the university. He wasn't a known extremist or on any watch list. He was, by most initial accounts, an unremarkable young man who sat quietly through most of the event. In the immediate aftermath, prosecutors offered a chillingly simple motive. Robinson, they said, had become utterly consumed by a deep-seated animosity for Kirk and the message he championed. He wasn't part of a larger conspiracy. They described him as a lone gunman, a disaffected individual who saw violence as the only answer to words he could not tolerate. His actions would force a national reckoning, not just with political violence, but with the profound and often unseen impact of the culture wars Charlie Kirk had helped to define. In the immediate aftermath of the shooting, the absence of clear official information created a vacuum. Into this whirlwind of grief, confusion, and burgeoning suspicion, a familiar voice emerged, ready to provide answers, however outlandish they might be. That voice belonged to Alex Jones, the infamous and highly influential conspiracy theorist and broadcaster. For decades, Jones had built an empire on the foundation of distrust, positioning himself as the ultimate outsider. the one man willing to expose the dark machinations of a shadowy global elite. His platform, InfoWars, was a finely tuned machine designed to transform national tragedies into evidence of sprawling government plots. For his millions of followers, he wasn't a purveyor of fake news, he was a truth-teller in a world of lies. So when news of Charlie Kirk's shooting broke, it was inevitable that Jones would see it not as a straightforward tragedy, but as a puzzle box of hidden clues, a false flag operation meticulously designed to deceive the public. For Jones, every official statement was a lie, and every piece of evidence was a breadcrumb leading back to the same cabal of shadowy actors he had been warning about for years. He immediately went on air, his voice a mix of outrage and vindication. He claimed this was the event he had been predicting, the next move in a grand chess game played by forces beyond public comprehension. Within hours, he produced what he called his first bombshell. One of his most dramatic and seemingly irrefutable claims revolved around a book he brandished on his show. The book, an obscure, quickly produced title called The Shooting of Charlie Kirk, was presented as the key to the entire conspiracy. Jones directed his audience to an Amazon listing for the book. There, in what appeared to be plain sight, was the publication date, September 9th, 2025, the day the actual shooting. The implication was explosive. How could a book about the shooting be published before the event even happened? To Jones and his captivated audience, this was the smoking gun, the irrefutable proof of a pre-planned conspiracy. It suggested foreknowledge, a script written and published before the players had even taken the stage. "This is the smoking gun," he declared, his voice cracking with performative fury. "They put the book out a day early. They're so arrogant they don't even care if we see it. This is the deep state telling you what they did." In reality, the date was likely an automatically generated placeholder, a common practice for pre-published or print-on-demand books in Amazon's system. But in the superheated atmosphere of the InfoWars studio, this logical explanation was dismissed as a cover story. But Jones wasn't finished. He quickly pivoted to another, even more bizarre narrative he dubbed the magic bullet theory, a deliberate echo of JFK assassination conspiracies. He seized on early medical reports which stated that the bullet had grazed Kirk's neck, causing a superficial wound, and that no projectile was found the neck itself. Jones mocked these official reports, deliberately misrepresenting them to his audience. He claimed the reports said no bullet was found at all, which was untrue. He twisted this detail into a fantastical story, sarcastically suggesting that Charlie Kirk was some kind of Superman, impervious to bullets. "So the globalists have a magic bullet that just disappears?" he bellowed. "It hits him, but it doesn't go in, it just vanishes. Is Charlie Kirk Superman?" He painted a ludicrous picture where the bullet simply didn't go through his neck and then disappeared into thin air, a physical impossibility that, in his telling, could only be explained by a cover-up. The goal wasn't to be believable, but to create doubt and ridicule the official narrative until it seemed just as absurd as his own. These wild, theatrical claims acted like gasoline on the embers of public doubt, igniting a firestorm of speculation online. Social media platforms, particularly X, formerly known as Twitter, erupted. The algorithms designed to promote engagement latched onto the most sensational content, pushing Jones's theories to the top of millions of feeds. According to a CNN analysis, over 2 million unique posts about the shooting flooded X in the first 2 days following the event, creating a tidal wave of information and disinformation. Hashtags, memes, and video clips spread like wildfire. Hashtags like #JusticeForCharlie, #Kirk'sLastStand, and most tellingly, #MagicBullet dominated the platform. It wasn't just Jones. Other prominent right-wing influencers like Candace Owens joined the fray, lending their credibility to the growing chorus of doubt. They didn't need to endorse Jones's theories fully. They simply had to ask questions to suggest that the official narrative didn't add up, and to amplify the most compelling evidence their audiences were sharing. The digital world fractured, becoming a battleground where competing realities clashed in real time. On one side were established news organizations, police reports, and official statements. On the other was a decentralized, highly motivated army of online sleuths, meme makers, and influencers, all convinced they were uncovering a vast conspiracy. Every new post, every video clip, every meme added another layer of complexity and confusion to the tragic event, burying the truth under an avalanche of speculation. For millions, the line between fact and fiction had been irrevocably blurred, and the chaos was only just beginning. In the chaotic aftermath of the tragedy, the internet erupted with what seemed like irrefutable proof of a dark conspiracy, a book about the event, apparently published on Amazon before it had even happened. For many, this was the ultimate smoking gun, evidence of a pre-written narrative. But when we step back from the noise of outrage and speculation, a much clearer, albeit more mundane picture emerges. The reality is less cinematic, but far more instructive about the world we live in. The truth behind Alex Jones's most sensational claim is rooted in the surprisingly simple mechanics of digital self-publishing. Amazon's Kindle Direct Publishing, or KDP, is a platform that allows anyone to upload and sell a book, giving authors complete control over their listing. This includes the ability to set and, crucially, to change the official publication date at any time before the book goes live. It's a feature designed for marketing, allowing authors to align their book's release with promotional events. But in the wrong hands, it becomes a tool for deception. An author can upload a manuscript, wait for an event to happen, and then retroactively set the publication date to appear as if they had foreknowledge. That smoking gun wasn't proof of a grand, pre-planned conspiracy. It was digital sleight of hand. It was evidence of how easily modern platforms can be manipulated to create a false reality, preying on a collective lack of technical literacy. Similarly, another cornerstone of the conspiracy narrative, the so-called magic bullet, falls apart under even basic scrutiny. Proponents point to the seemingly pristine condition of the bullet recovered, claiming it couldn't possibly have caused the fatal wound without deforming. They paint a picture of a projectile that defied physics. But forensic ballistics experts tell a far less mysterious story. In reality, the bullet passed through the soft tissue of his neck, a path that avoided major bones. High-velocity rounds like the one used are designed to be incredibly stable in flight. When they pass through soft tissue without hitting a hard obstacle, they often retain much of their shape. The lack of significant damage to the bullet isn't a sign of magic. It's a testament to the specific tragic path it took. There was no magic. There was only physics, misunderstood and amplified by a desire to find something extraordinary in the tragic. So, if the evidence for these conspiracies is so flimsy, why do they take hold with such force? The answer isn't in hidden documents, but in ourselves. The answer is human psychology. In the face of sudden senseless trauma, our brains desperately seek patterns and meaning. A random act of violence is terrifying because it suggests a world without order. Conspiracies, paradoxically, offer a sense of control and understanding. They replace the chaos of reality with a simple, digestible narrative. This is where cognitive biases like apophenia, our tendency to see patterns in random data, kick into high gear. We connect unrelated dots because a hidden plot can feel more comforting than a meaningless tragedy. Furthermore, these theories build powerful communities. Believers feel they are part of an exclusive group, the enlightened few who see the real truth. In an increasingly isolated world, that sense of belonging can be a powerful, addictive force. They give a simple narrative with clear heroes, the brave truth seekers, and easily identifiable villains, a shadowy cabal pulling the strings. But moving past these fictions is not just an intellectual exercise, it is a moral necessity. Justice for Charlie Kirk, for his grieving family, and for the accused, Tyler Robinson, depends on our collective ability to ground ourselves in reality. A fair trial becomes impossible when the public discourse is poisoned by baseless speculation. When we strip away the fiction, the facts show a tragedy born not of a secret society, but of far more familiar and frightening forces. Deep-seated political polarization and profound individual desperation. These wild theories do more than just obscure the truth, they actively harm us. They serve as a massive distraction, pulling our attention away from the genuinely hard conversations we must have. We argue about fake publication dates while avoiding discussions about the toxic nature of our political rhetoric. We chase phantom bullets instead of addressing the crisis in our mental health systems and the complex, divisive issue of firearm access. These are the real factors that created the conditions for this tragedy. They are messy, uncomfortable, and they don't have easy answers. But honoring Charlie Kirk's memory means having the courage to confront that uncomfortable truth, not the cowardice of escaping into seductive fiction. The path forward is through reality, however painful it may be.